Welcome to the Au. I'm your host, Beefloaf. This show is being sponsored by our friends Punky's Pizza and Pasta, located at 2600 South Wallace, my personal favorite eatery in the neighborhood. They have the best selections of pizzas and pastas, as well as sandwiches and salads of any spot in Bridgeport. Currently, they have what they're calling the Pizza Happy Hour, Mondays and Tuesdays only, between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. So right damn now, you order a pizza from Punky's and you get 50% off. Yes, you heard that correctly. 50% off pizzas ordered Mondays and Tuesdays between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. How in the world can you get 50% off the best pizza in Bridgeport? The Pizza Happy Hour. Hit the website, punkie'spizza.com, for all your carryout or delivery needs or to cater your next party. You can also call 312-842-2100. The Scarlotta family will take care of you. Punky's Pizza and Pasta. This show is also powered by you, the loyal 108 supporter. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to tickle the undercarriage in the process. Like, comment, turn on notifications, and most definitely super chat, because it's how we continue to get paid. It's how we continue to make the content you know and love. Tonight's guest, he's the host of the FutureSox podcast. He is also the author of more video cuts of White Sox minor leaguers than anyone else on Elon's favorite app. And lastly, he was absolutely right about Lenyn Sosa, and I was fucking wrong. Ian Eskridge, welcome back. You, my friend.
Hi, how are you, Beef? Good to see you. Glad to be back.
I had to do that for you, Ian, because I wanted to bet you on something Lenyn Sosa related and never got around to it. And so had I gotten around to it, I would have egg on my face for losing that bet. But I didn't. I was lazy. It helped me. But I gotta relinquish because we fought for a while, and I'm already on the you know what, he deserves a shot at primary at bats next year. You know, I'm with you. You got me.
I mean, like, so the main bugaboo that you've got there is that you still don't know. You hope that he's going to improve on defense, but you don't know. You know,
right?
There's always been a question about his defense, what position he probably fits best at second base.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you've got Chase Mydroth, and you've also got, you know, Sam Antonacci's pushing up, and William Bergoya is doing William Bergoya things in Double-A.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty crazy, I think.
It's crowded. Ian, it's and we're gonna get to some of this that how crowded it's starting to get when you start looking down that direction. You know, one thought I had, everyone's been talking about, you know, Lenyn's got to get better on defense. We got to find a position for him. How about just a very slight refinement in pitch selection, and he just becomes Nelson Cruz? How about that instead? He just becomes the DH. How about you take that 3.5% walk rate and you make it 6%, and he gets to more pitches middle in and instead of swinging as freely, and he just becomes a 30 home run power hitter and becomes your DH.
Yeah, that's a tough one, you know, because I don't his power this year kind of spiked a little bit. He never hit home runs like that, I don't think. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that his power numbers were never quite as you know, I won't say prodigious, because I mean, you know, we're looking at 22 home runs, but you know, it was certainly more than most people were expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my thought, pushing that direction. Now, I want to have you on tonight to talk about the midseason top 30 FutureSox. You guys put out a list before the season. You put out a list the midseason. I always like to have you on to ask questions in the midseason, because my understanding of this stuff comes through looking at national lists, listening to you and James and some of the other fellas at FutureSox, and just hearing you guys talk through the players. But I don't always have a clear understanding, because the way I'm wired, I'm analytically wired, and a lot of this stuff is very much like, you know, you see certain traits in players and you can see the projection, and I'm like, the guy looks like he can't hit to me, that type of shit. So I always like to have you on here to clarify things for me, to help me out a little bit. So we'll get to that list in a second. We get to this drink. Pasty Taco says, cheers, Unc. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right off the top, one thing I noticed is our two big left-handed starting pitchers, they had off years, and this happens. Things happen in the minors. And what's funny about, you know, a minor league career is so short compared to, you know, a major league career, compared to all other types of things we might project. And so the rankings can be quite volatile for one bad year or one real good year. We'll talk about one of those later. But I was fascinated at how much more the poor year affected Hagen Smith's ranking, who got pushed down quite a bit based on his poor year. Whereas Noah Schultz was able to was able to hang on to the number 1 ranking. His didn't affect him as much. Why is that, Ian? Why did Hagen Smith's poor year in the minors affect him more in your rankings than Noah Schultz did?
So I'm going to go ahead and preface this entire conversation with the fact that I can only pretty much comment on my thinking process here. I can, think about maybe what somebody else had thought, but I can only answer for myself.
Okay.
As far as Noah goes, we knew that he had the tendonitis in his knee all year. We knew we'd known it for months. We couldn't say anything, but we knew that there was an issue there, and with it being a major stressor on his body, it made it tough for him to complete pitches. So that for me is one of those things where I had to think about, do I still think that the projectable is there? And I do. You saw a couple of games where he looked a little bit more comfortable, but for the most part, there was not really a comfortability there. And, of course, pitching in Charlotte, it's brutal.
Right. Big change.
Yeah, so there's that. And as far as my thinking on Hagen, I knew that there was mechanical issues there, and I could see it from pretty much. He kind of started walking guys at a crazy clip, I think around mid-May or something.
Okay.
And I could just tell watching him pitch that when he was throwing his pitches, his chest was wide open. And I've heard some of the Bannister things saying that they've given him some new leg kick and stuff, which, yeah, okay, that's all well and good. But if you look at his shoulders are way more closed, which has to be allowing him to kind of wind up a little bit more and generate some more power. So now his velocity's back, and the walks have gone down somewhat. I mean, in his last playoff game, I think he ended up getting tagged with 5 walks, though one of them got charged to him that Caleb Freeman actually walked, because it started downpour at 2-1 in a 2-1 count.
Oh, okay.
So
he had to come out of the game. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, he had a couple of walks in that inning that one of them ended up scoring, and when he was in, and then I think the other one ended up scoring when Caleb Freeman was in. That was the 2 runs that the Biscuits got. So
okay. So you, in a way, you're almost kind of grading Noah Schultz on a curve, knowing the guy's been hobbled with this injury. He's trying to tough it out. He's trying to get through this. Whereas with Hagen Smith, there was no known injury. This was just poor performance because couldn't hold his mechanics, was just having other issues on the field. That makes sense. Now, with regard from the level of projection, though, even him losing the control for that, Ian, does it change the level of projectability for you? You had that great playoff start, and mind you, that happened after these rankings were out. So we can't let's not mix up the bowls here, right? That when he had 10 Ks and he was lights out, that should happen after this occurred. So, but do you still see the upside with Hagen Smith, or is it there's so much more reliever risk because of the control that you just gotta discount it at this point?
So my thinking on that, I'll add on to previous statement that if it was one issue or the other issue, being velocity down or walks up, if it was one or the other, I would still have been okay, this is just one situation that needs to get sorted out. But because you had 2, they were compounding on each other. And granted, he still wasn't getting hit. So, but right. The thought that we, James and I are sitting here talking about this and being yeah, if it was one or the other, we'd be fine. But if he goes to Charlotte and is walking guys all over the place, those fly balls that he's hitting, those things are home runs.
Right. Yeah.
If, he's throwing 94, the better, more veteran guys in AAA are going to tune him up.
Yep.
So that's where we were kind of worried that, maybe we're trending towards a reliever role here, but they finally did manage to sort out some things with his mechanics. And then you saw the 97, 98, 99 mile an hour fastball come back. And the walks also kind of dipped because his control's gets a little better with better mechanics. So,
Right.
and as you said, we did these rankings at before the All-Star break.
Right.
So, James,
It's a while ago.
he took a while to get that list like completely formulated and finally pop it out, because there's just like we got to get the pictures, we got to get all the clips put in it, we got to do all these things just to make it look presentable and everything. And by that time, it's like a month after we all did our rankings. And so, I'll give you a little sneak peek here. You're asking me about who can help in 2026. One of the guys that we caught the most crap about was Colson Montgomery being on that list still, because he still had eligibility then. So like he only had, I think, like when we finally put the thing out, he had like 3 more games or something of eligibility, and like everybody's like, "Oh, you guys can't put him on the list. He's not a prospect anymore." And I'm like,
and the list that explicitly says, "Here's the criteria for eligibility." Like you have to do that with every one of the lists they're not uniform, so you got to always look. Yeah, it cracked me up. Well, the comments are exploding because Eskridge says Katz and Thames both out. He says Grady Sizemore reassigned. So I see the tweet from Chuck Garfine. Ethan Katz, Marcus Thames, Jason Bourgeois, and Drew Butera will not return on the coaching staff. And then Grady Sizemore is going to be reassigned, looks like, to I don't know if that's going to be like somewhere else in the organization where he's still coaching, or if he's going to be in the front office or what. But it sounds like big moves. I mean, you can see it coming, right? Yeah, I was going to say there was whispers that there were going to be some changes. And I was mentioning to Teresi the other day, I was like, Will didn't really get to have any of his own guys. The group was there. They went together and hired Walker McKinnon, and that was kind of it. Like for the major group, so it doesn't surprise me that they're moving on from people. Interesting, that is a big pile though. So they've got markings on some brand new coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
I didn't see that until you just mentioned it. You said about the comments, so I looked and so we were talking about it today in the FutureSox, like in a chat that we have, and I predicted. Let's see, I thought Tim's would be gone.
Yep.
I thought possibly the bullpen coach might be gone, which he's still around, I guess.
So far, I mean, you never know when you hire a new pitching coach what they do if they want to make some changes.
Yeah, that's actually that's a great one. The other one, like the Cats thing, I'm pretty surprised with Bannister and Cats working together in San Fran that's one of the ones to go. But hey, we'll see.
I was gonna say a team that you saw the seedlings on the starting pitching side, but the bullpen has been in trouble for two years now. I mean, like it stabilized a little bit kind of mid-season this year. So I get, it'd be interesting to see the fallout for this. I haven't analyzed it yet in my head, but we'll get to this at some point later on. Jumping back to the list here, the biggest mover on the list that I could see jumping 20 spots from last year, from the 30 spot to all the way up to number 10, is Sam Antonacci. I don't know a lot about Sam, but tell me a bit about his offensive profile and where he potentially fits defensively on the big league team. I understand it's like maybe a second base situation, and we're kind of piling up a lot of second base. So tell me about Sam Antonacci.
All right, so I'm going to throw. I'm not normally a guy who just sits here and throws numbers at people on a podcast just because I don't want to put people to sleep. But these are some eye opening and some really nice numbers here. So this last season, 433 OBP over the entire season. So he's almost on base half the time.
Yeah,
and, I think something today. I think we saw today. He had a press conference today. I think he got hit 38 times. So there's that.
It's like Don Baylor numbers right there.
Yeah, it's crazy. So he had a 14% strikeout rate, and that's after the 2% increase from advanced A to AA. So he only had a 12% K rate in advanced A. So I mean, to jump that level and still only strike out 2% more is fantastico.
Absolutely.
The WRC plus only lost 2 points going from advanced A to double A, which for the entire year this year he had a 155. So that right
Wow.
there is fantastic.
Yep.
Has a .95 walk to strikeout, so he's almost at a 1-to-1. He saw just short of 2,000 pitches this year.
Wow.
And that's in like I want to say like 130 games, something like that, because he did miss a little bit of time with an injury. So he was 24 pitches short of seeing 2,000 pitches, which is insane. One thing that I will say that is something to note is that his ISO dropped quite a bit going from advanced A to double A. So that's something to watch. I don't know, one of the things that they did say
at ballpark too, though, is I mean that's a tough ballpark.
Regions is a tough park for home runs. I want to say that the Barons had one home run in the playoffs this year, and that was by Ryan Galaney. Yeah, so I mean it's a tough park to hit home runs in. I think he had 4 home runs in advanced A and only 1 in double A, which is where he spent the most of his time this year. He had 48 stolen bases, so there's some speed there. Again, not like Billy Hamilton numbers. That's not what you're looking at. But 48 stolen bases is nothing to laugh about.
Yeah, when you say it's not Billy Hamilton speed, it's more like on the White Sox, like how Chase Meidroth will pick his spots to steal bases because he's smart and realizing he can lead or whatever, and then he's 12 of 14 stealing, or is it more speed than that, you think?
I think it's more speed than that. Okay. I won't say that you're going to look at like a 50-60 stolen base guy in the majors. Like that's not what he is.
Not what he is. Okay.
He is aggressive, and he's got more speed than he's given credit with. As far as the defense goes, he's played everywhere across the diamond other than catcher and pitcher. I don't think he pitched at all. I don't think they gave up enough runs ever to
throw him in there.
for him to be in there. But I mean, he played first base, second base, third base, and shortstop. I've seen him make crazy plays at shortstop, second base, and third base. And I think he made like a really nice jumping catch at first base as well. So he can play base. He can play baseball. I mean, he's just the quote unquote dirtbag. Just a guy who plays baseball and is always thinking ahead of what's going to happen.
It's nice. It's useful to have these guys start to bubble up towards the major leagues when you have to add a guy because there's an injury and this guy comes in there. They know the lay of the land. There's no, no, they're not deer in headlights. They know how to play ball and they know how to get right in there. I was interested, especially because the eye popping on base percentage and the offensive profile looks like I don't know. I have no where he hit in the order, but it looks like leadoff hitter type profile to me, just given the on base skills or whatever. Now, is he? Do you think Ian he profiles more as a starter, a regular on a team, or is he profiling more for you as like a utility player? I'm just trying to get the lay of the land of because we mentioned a bunch of these types of guys are coming, and it looks like Chase Meidroth has a good handle on second right now. If I were opening up, here's what I think the lineup's going to be on opening day. I would have penciled in Meidroth at second, but you got some of these guys coming, so I'm just curious to see.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I don't think that you want an entire because you're going to have Brooks Baldwin, Chase Meidroth, and Antonacci probably to start off the year next year. I mean, I'm not saying that Antonacci's definitely going to be there, but he's going to make them think really hard about it probably because the guy is constantly on base and doing the right things. I mean, I know that they're looking for a first baseman, but I mean, I also don't know what they plan on doing in free agency. Not Pete Alonso, probably. I wouldn't imagine. But he could play there and be there. And I don't know. This is the thing that you're talking about it being just a difficult situation with the 26-man roster on this team, because you've got all these middle infielders that are vying for a place to play. You don't have enough outfielders as of right now.
Right.
You know, Michael Taylor retired.
Just retired.
So there's one guy.
Yeah.
Luis Roberts injured, 25% of the year usually.
Yep. Yeah, you can count on that. Book it.
You don't want Benintendi in the field at all.
Ever. Nope. Agreed.
It's tough, and I mean, you got Will Robertson and Derek
Dominic Fletcher kicking around, and some of these guys, Corey Julks hanging around the
Yep. It's tough. Like, how do you construct 13 position players when everybody that's there deserves to be there, but they're all middle infielders,
right?
And 2 catchers.
Yeah, right. It's
it's rough.
Well, I'll tell you what though, Ian. I seeing Sam Antonacci's rise here. These are good problems to have. These are not problems we are used to having. We're not used to, oh my God, we got to find this guy some plate appearances because he's coming in hot and these guys are going to need to be here in a little bit. And it's like, that's a good thing. This is a goddamn good thing. We're not used to it.
Yeah, it's such a breath of fresh air to have. And I said this even before, like, this season, knowing that we were probably going to lose 100 games still. But
yeah.
Like, we're actually having guys that are pushing through the system on merit and not just age-based.
Right.
Which is
yes, absolutely. Not just, you're due to be added to the 40-man, so we'll add you, even though you have no value to us. That sort of shit. Yeah, you're right about that. There is a lot of push for that. It is starting to, we're not going to delve into it here, but it is starting to make those 40-man decisions in the offseason very interesting. There's a lot of guys for a few spots. It's like, who are they going to risk not protecting in this? It'll be interesting to see that the different topic though. I want to get down to the gentle giant, George Wilco. He slid down 2 spots this year, and that's with a bunch of guys graduating. As we mentioned, the White Sox are loaded with young players on the roster, and that he did substantially improve his K rate. He was K'ing at a 40% rate. That is no longer the case. He's gotten much better there. So what happened? What happened this year, Ian, that has him sliding kind of back here and not moving up the chart?
Well, as I said, I don't normally throw out numbers, but his ISO dropped by 60 points and his WRC plus dropped by 30. So now he's below 100 with his WRC plus, and his walk rate dropped. So yes, he did drop his K percentage by 10%,
which is not nothing. That's movement there. That's something. That's a something.
Yeah, and and the thing is that I'm not soured on him. I pretty much kept him at the exact same spot because I still have the thoughts, because I'm looking at process over results as that's one thing that I know that he's focused on as well. But at the same time, you've got this influx of talent through the draft. Plus, you got these other guys moving up the list because they're performing so well.
Yep.
What are you supposed to do? I mean, George still played decent defense. His BABIP was pretty rough this year. He wasn't getting a whole lot of help. But at the same time, he's grounding out quite a bit. Now, if you remember, Colson Montgomery went to Arizona to work on his swing.
Yep, I remember this.
I drew a lot of parallels between 3 guys this year. Colson Montgomery, his brother Braden Montgomery, and then George Wilco. All 3 of them were doing the same thing, which is trying to pull the ball in the air all the time. And it, you saw Colson Montgomery kind of sort that out a little bit. He's working to the point where he'll take a single up the middle. He'll hit a ball up the middle. But a lot of the time on these mistake pitches, he's not missing. So that's the problem with George, is that, these mistake pitches, he's missing them.
Okay.
And it's just not it's not working out well. He ends up rolling over to the ball to the right side of the infield, or he pops it up to the third baseman or shortstop. And that's what happens when you try and do that. And, it's something that I know for a fact that Fuller went there and worked with him.
Yep.
And as soon as he was done working with him, you saw George's numbers spike a little bit. But as you saw that distance on the calendar between when Fuller visited and the end of the season, you saw the same results starting to happen again, because it's almost like, he's getting back to being super aggressive, and it ends up causing him issues. And, like I said, process over results. He needs to keep on working at it. I mean, the guy has ridiculous power, and he's a good outfielder. It's just one of those things where the bat to ball needs to be something that gets sorted out.
I saw some video of him with his arm, and it's like Looney Tunes how he throws from the outfield. It's like, oh my god, there's a guy with an arm in the outfield.
Yeah, he's got a cannon for sure.
I mean, it's 496 plate appearances, so basically a full minor league season. He doesn't turn 20 until after the new year. I mean, it's in 2026, so he's still very young. And I was interested to see where he was going to fall out, kind of knowing what I knew about what had happened there. But do you think, Ian, that they're going to start him at low A again next year, or do you think that they'll move him up to high A just as a recognizing what you accomplished, even though you didn't do as well as you needed to at this level?
I would say that I would expect him to start at A again.
Okay.
For maybe the first month. What I'm hoping is that during spring training, they see the improvements that they're looking for, and they're like, well, we're going to start you out here so you can have a nice start to the year, and then we're going to bump you pretty quickly. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. I hope that happens as well. Now, I got to get to a guy. My feelings might end up getting hurt during this one. We got to talk about it, even though I don't want to. My play cousin, Brian Ramos, has slid all the way back to 22 on the list. He's rarely healthy. When he is healthy, he's rarely effective. Are we in DFA and try to pass him through waivers territory with Brian Ramos? Is this where we're at with Brian? Because he got a little cup of coffee at the end of the year. I thought, maybe they're going to give him a little run here. Third base isn't fully covered. You got Curtis Mead there, and then next thing you know, he was back in the minors after a couple of days. It was like, you know what? Thanks for covering while we had an injured guy. Go back to AAA. Where are we at with Brian Ramos? Is this the end of the road for him?
Well, I mean, you don't have Marco Patti around anymore. You don't have Rick Hahn around anymore. So he's not really, Getz has known the guy forever,
Yep.
But at this point, it's not one of his guys technically. I could see that being a possibility. Like you had mentioned, the injury and him getting a late start in the year, having the elbow issues and, or forearm or whatever it was. I can't remember at this point. It's been so long, but, with the influx of talent, again, I'll bring that up. His ISO jumped a ton this year in Charlotte. So, I mean, he's hitting for a lot more power, but the issue is that his bat to ball really dropped off. And, there's something to be said for the really slow start that he got off to and him warming up as the season went on, which did happen. But these like you said, these 40-man spots, it's getting tight. So they're gonna
absolutely, and he's out of options. He's at the point where he's out of options because he was kind of he had to be put on at a certain point. You wanted to keep him, and now we're kind of at the end of that. So yeah, I saw your guy Steve Sleepy Harold at the ballpark, and I asked him the same question. He said, "Yeah, probably." And I was like, I wish it was different. I wish he would have got a chance to have half a season here, but it just wasn't going to be. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's just the way it's going to work out as the farm system improved, and as the talent that you have underneath him gets better, it's going to push him, and either he's going to take the position and run with it, or he's going to kind of keep the status quo and just by dumb luck, he just happens to have an injury to start the year this year, and it stunted his year. I mean, he could have ended up here mid-season had he been healthy right off the bat and just kind of continued what he was doing in spring training, but that just wasn't to be. Yeah,
it's too damn bad. David Crosby in the comments says, "Get rid of all Ramos. Take it easy, David. All right, you watch yourself there. You just." Enough of that fucking business. All right. One last question for this part, and then we're going to get to my WTFs because I had a couple of I was like, what the hell is going on here? But before we get to that, who are the people on this list that are most ready to help the 2026 White Sox team? Because expectations have changed. White Sox fans were happy, but now that you pulled in 60 wins, people are starting to look at next year's schedules like, well, we've got to get 72 or 73 or 75 wins to really show something's going on here. And the way I look at it, I don't think the White Sox are going to be significant spenders in free agency. We're butting up against the work stoppage, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of ads anyway. I think they'll be short term. So you're going to have to help for the guys that are here improving, and then reinforcements from the farm. Who can help? Who can come here and help 2026?
Well, Coulson, obviously, like I had mentioned earlier.
That's cheating, but yes, okay, we'll take that one. He was actually very helpful in this past year, so yes, we'll take that one.
So I kind of put like these three guys in the same category because they're in the top five, and that's Noah and Hagen and Braden Montgomery, just because they're kind of all lumped there together in the very top of the system. And as we mentioned in the first bit here about Noah and Hagen, is that I foresee them kind of pushing quickly. I don't think that there's much reason when they're going to be healthy. I don't think that it's going to be one of those things where they're sitting there in the minor leagues rotting for a couple of months. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Right.
We know that the White Sox need outfielders, and Braden Montgomery, assuming that he does make his way to the AFL here after that little foot fracture thing, I see him like making a push as well, because his defense is good. And once they worked on swing mechanics a little bit with him, he started hitting more, and the power wasn't as good, but again, Regions Field. Right. I mean, the Barons ended up winning the championship without him. So, no big deal.
Right. Still got it done.
Yeah. As far as Sam Antonacci's on my list of guys that could help. And then my other two are guys who are farther down the list. One who we'll discuss later in your WTF section. But Tanner McDougal and Shane Murphy are the two other guys I had pegged for that.
I was gonna ask explicitly about these two guys, and if you and the reason why is because I see the big ball of pitching the White Sox have. But here's all I learned from in 2025, Ian, is that I know Shane Smith is in this rotation. He's probably, even for a good team, he's a mid-rotation starter. Because when he came back, after they had like backed him off a little bit away from innings, whatever, he looked sharp as hell. And he finished out with almost 150 innings. It's like, this is grown man shit right here. This guy, he is the man. And Davis Martin, to me, is a fifth starter, and he performed just fine in that role. So to me, those two guys are locked. The rest of it is blurry. I don't know what's what. So when you're talking about these guys, Tanner McDougal and Shane Murphy both had great years in Double A. Are you thinking of them as starters when they get to Chicago, or are you thinking of them as like, we're going to try you out in the bullpen because this bullpen stinks, and we're going to go the Grant Taylor route, and let's see if you can help us first, and then figure out if you're a starter.
All right, so with Shane Murphy, not so much with the innings limitation. Tanner McDougal did have like inning limitations, which frustrated a lot of people. 3 inning starts since July. Absolutely absurd. And like you could see, like he kind of lost the eye of the tiger as the season rolled on. Like we're coming into September, and it's just like he's going through the motions, and he's still hitting 99, but it just seems like his focus isn't quite as laser sharp as it was at some points. Right. But then you see him come out in the playoffs, and it's just like just turns it on and is lights out 2 times in a row at 3 innings apiece. It's kind of silly, but he's one of my favorites, and I fully expect him to be a starter. Now, Shane Murphy, on the other hand, we've been talking about this in the FutureSox world, trying to figure out exactly how they're going to make all of this stuff work together next year in this rotation. Because if something that I've been harping on for like 2 years now is these innings limitations, are you trying to build an army of guys that can go 3 innings apiece?
Once through the order, Ian. That's They do market inefficiency once through the order.
Yeah, it's like even when like they get to 50, they get to 5 innings and they're at like 75 pitches and they're pulling them out of the game. And it's like, how are they supposed to improve if they don't have to push past, the part when they get like somewhat tired in a game?
Get tired,
like,
right? They've seen your stuff, and you got to battle back against them. Yeah, all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
And once they've seen your stuff, through 2 at bats, that third time through the order is like when guys make themselves into legends.
Right.
Let's be honest there.
The differentiator, exactly. Yeah, it really is.
So, like, I'm watching this, and there's also the thing that the studies have been done that half of this stuff that we're subscribing to here with trying to baby these guys' arms doesn't work.
It's meaningless, right?
Fresh. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, you've got guys that are coming to the major leagues and throwing 130 innings when they're like 22 years old. So, what are we doing here? Like, why are we trying to limit these guys? Oh, we only threw 60 innings last year, so we can only get them to 90 this year. Like, why? Like you see what Garrett Crochet's doing right now is leading the league in innings and strikeouts. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So,
and you see how quickly Shane Smith was able to bump up on his innings too, and it does seem that they're at least a bit taking a more biomechanical approach than just a rote. Oh, this is how many you can throw, this is how many innings, etc. So, which is somewhat encouraging, but you're still seeing too much of it. That's the lower levels.
I know all about the K vests. I know about the catapult vests. I know that these things show you when there's like extra stress on the joints and stuff. Like, I get it, but there's like no real correlation that says that, oh, well, if this guy does this, he's going to get injured. Yeah, maybe one of these guys has more of a shot of getting injured than, it's got to be different for everybody else because everybody's body's not the same. Some guys
N of one
more,
Exactly.
Whatever. Yeah.
Nathan Chiba, thanks for the drink. Nathan says, work stoppage. Are you guys going on strike? No. We were not us, but MLB potentially after the 2026 season, heading into 2027. Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate you. Let's get to my WTFs. WTF number 1. Geraldo Perez at 16 had me miffed. Ian, okay, this is the guy that comes over in the Fetty trade. Now, when the Fetty trade happened, everyone was looking at Miguel Vargas, but all the whispers I heard was that this was the guy who they thought was the best prospect in the trade. They thought he was a very good hitter, considered the main piece. He goes to high A, he smashes the daylights out of the ball, hits a ton of home runs. But then he's back here in the rankings with the middle relievers and the backup catchers. What happened? Why is he so far back? He's got the power. He's got the pop, baby.
He does have power. The question comes, the K percentage went down, down 2%, but his walk percentage went down 4% from last year, 4.5%. His WRC plus is the same. His BABIP did get lower, so his ISO went up 40 points. I like him. It's just I don't know what I'm looking at here yet. It's like I watch him and I see him hit, 21 home runs or whatever it is that he hit.
Yeah.
I see that, and that's awesome. And his defense is good too. It's just I don't know what I can project him as. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can keep the projectable thoughts there with the K rate and with like the ground ball rate and stuff like that. I want to see him against better competition before I bump him up above some of these other guys. And, all of our lists look different, and like part of the reason he ends up where he ends up is because, like one guy's got him at like 25 and then another one's got him at like 12. So that's just where he's going to end up, just by the way the list works. So.
Yeah, I was saying for people who haven't seen us do this question, the way the FutureSox guys do it is everyone, the group of 5 or 6 guys, whoever, do their own lists, and then you kind of smash them together and average out the ranking. So yeah, one guy weighting a guy very much lower could drag a guy lower than maybe the consensus actually believes, because it's averaging and kind of not doing the mean. So that's fair there. But I was just like kind of like I've been keeping an eye on him all year, because I was like, smaller guy, but I mean, it says 6 foot. I don't know if he's actually 6 foot, but a smaller guy, second base profile. It's like, but you hit that many home runs, you're playable. I mean, like you try to look, there was like 5 guys with that many homers in the majors, like 20 plus at second base. It's just not a lot. I mean, like that position, you don't have to hit that much to be a real factor in situations. And like we mentioned earlier in the discussion, I just like seeing these guys succeeding and like, oh, okay, there's no caveats, no ifs, ands, or buts. The guy had a good year. All right. And we're just saying, well, we don't know if he's projectable enough, but he did play good. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens when he goes to Double-A and starts playing in Regions Field, because some of his home runs were wall scrapers. So at Regions Field, he's going to be pop-ups, so we'll see.
Turning those homers into doubles, a lot less impressive. All right, now the other one I wanted to get to is the aforementioned Shane Murphy. He had a phenomenal year at Double-A. Jumps on the list at number 25. And I think there's a French conspiracy going on here because Matthias Lacombe, who has barely played any pro ball, is 8 spots ahead of him. And I suspect that the reason he is because there aren't many French ball players, and he's a French ball player. And someone in your organization here, Ian, wanted to push him up so that we're first on the French guy, just in case he's good. What gives here, man? Shane Murphy had a great year.
Yeah, no, he did. He was fantastic. Again, we made this list before the All-Star break, and he continued to shove through the entire year and ended up with like a .83 whip or something like that, which
crazy.
Is
just a fantastic year.
But I mean, again, it's like a projectability thing, how do you project what Shane Murphy and a 92 mile an hour fastball are going to do at the major league level? But then you see Lacombe, and granted, just an A ball, and he's just finally coming into affiliated ball here, but he's throwing like 97, 98 miles an hour with just wicked movement. And it's one of those things where, he's barely touched the surface here, but I could see it being one of those things where you're looking at Christian Opper moving up and Matthias Lacombe kind of filling out underneath him and doing the same thing, that Opper did this year. Granted, the walk numbers with Lacombe were a little bit higher than I would have liked to have seen, but then again, Opper has had his moments as well. So we'll see.
Well, that makes sense. And from projectability, a guy holding 97 or 98 can be a potential monster. The guy with 92 is going to need some help. he's going to need to be really fine with his command to become that man. I mean, totally makes sense.
Which Shane Murphy usually is. I mean, he's like he did some stuff this year.
Those guys, like the Shane Murphys and Tanner McDougal's, make me excited for what it's going to look like when they get to spring training and who might get bumped up and who's got a shot to make this team. It's very interesting to check that out. A couple questions about the process here. I believe a bunch of you make these lists and then you sort of do the point system we were talking about for the ultimate list. Whose list had the most what the fuck in them? Who had the wild variability in their list, Ian? Who was it?
I won't say that there was really that many, to be honest. Like, I think that everybody, so for full disclosure here, James Fox, Sleepy Harold, myself, Dylan Not Cease, Elijah Evans, and then Adrian White did these lists. And we're the ones who, take the blame for this list or the credit,
or the credit. Yeah, that's right.
The only one that I looked at it, and even months past, the only one that I looked at and I was like, that to me is a little bit a little crazy, was that Dylan and Adrian had, and I'm sorry to do this to you guys, but Dylan and Adrian both had Jacob Gonzalez in the teens. And I don't know, man.
He made it to AAA? Is that why?
he did, but like the thing that
I'm grasping at straws here
is that like when he got to Charlotte, things did not go very, very well. I think he hit something like 210 or something like that in Charlotte, and we've seen how that's worked out before. He's great on defense, but it just I wonder if the bat's going to have enough impact to move anywhere, and I just as of right now, like I had him I kept him on my list, but like I had him at like 25 or 26. Like I don't know. He worries me. Like to me, that's you look back at that draft pick and you're like, what you could have had, and
Yeah, that's a
hindsight's
tough one to
always
look back.
2020. But I mean, like we were looking at this pick from the get go, saying, So I don't know. We'll see.
It lacked. I remember you guys at the time. It lacked excitement for you guys. You're like, I don't know about this one.
I mean, I tend to be like the, like I just tend to be the one who's like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, right.
It's like maybe they know something that we don't. I mean, they are the professionals here, so maybe they have something on him. And like the thing is that he was on the championship team with Elko.
Right.
And he's been a winner, so maybe there's and you watch this and like you see it, like he's got like his fundamentals are great, but this is like the kind of thing where you look at the fundamentals, maybe that's the ceiling here, and you hope that he had a higher floor, and they went for that pick and said, oh, we're going to go for the guy with the higher floor than the higher ceiling with the bigger bust potential, and it looks like the floor is not high enough.
4 guy didn't make it. That's
yeah. Sadly.
How about what about for individual player? Was Jacob Gonzalez the individual player otherwise, or was it someone else? Because I'm just curious, like who had the most disparity out of all the prospects? Who were you like? There was someone really high or really low about a particular guy that you were like, wow, that's a big spread for this player.
So the Jacob Gonzalez thing, like I want to say Sleepy didn't even have him on his list.
It's totally out.
Yeah, he just didn't even have him. But I have a great nugget for you from the preseason ranking list.
Okay.
I was the only person to have Shane Smith on the list.
Yes.
And I had him at 20, and you saw what he did this year.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just going to take a bow on that one. I watched him pitch last year, and then I went back and like kind of revisited it right when we got him, because I made like a little montage, that I put up when we picked him up in the Rule 5.
Yeah.
And I thought that he could at least be on the major league roster through the entire year as a reliever, because he pitched as a reliever for the Brewers AAA affiliate last year, and then he was a starter in AA before that, and he pitched well in both situations. So I was like, we got a couple of bums out there that that he could certainly supplant in the rotation and be a decent member of the pitching rotation. And it's like the way I kind of look at this whole thing is that if you're in the major leagues, or if you're really close to the major leagues, and are performing in the minors, like there's like a little bit of grace there that, I will give you in these lists that, like Kai Busch, for instance, like the guy came and pitched for the White Sox. Granted, he didn't have the greatest time there or AAA, but you also found out right after that his elbow was shot.
Right.
When he was in AA, he had like a Shane Murphy-like whip. He was lights out last year before he made that jump. And it's like, for all I know, is that his elbow was bothering him, and he was just kind of like trying to grin and bear it and just
tough it out.
He's just like, oh, my arm's a little bit more sore than it normally is. And so he kept on pushing himself. And then all of a sudden one day it was his elbow, his UCL was like, nope. And that's how he ended up. Yeah. So I don't know.
Couldn't keep up with his own personal grit. Who on the list, Ian, fell off that you were surprised? Fell off.
I mean, nobody that looks at any of the prospect lists from this year can look at Jairo Iriarte and not say that he is the biggest, like, jumping off of a cliff of any prospect that the White Sox have had in years.
Yeah.
Like, everybody had him ranked in the top 10 for like the last two, like since he's been here. And now we don't even know if he could even be a reliever. I mean, it's just insane,
tough.
like the drop off that he had this year. And
it was funny too that Banny had sort of the reset with him in the middle of the year, and he raved about how the extension and everything, and then it hasn't come to fruition as much of anything. It just hasn't become a thing. I noticed what I noticed about the top 30, especially the midseason one, even more so than the preseason this year, is that the risk profile you guys have changed a little bit. You're thinking about guys that are already pegged as relievers, and they have been pushed pretty far back. So I noticed like Peyton Paulette not being on there, even though he's kind of been a guy who you're like, short track, this guy is probably in the majors. But then again, he didn't make an appearance this year with the big club, which is a bit surprising given, how fluid that bullpen was and moving around. But I noticed that a lot of those types of guys have been pushed either to the just missed or the very edges of the 30, the top 30 there. And was that a conscious effort, or is that just you guys just like all of you just saying, oh, look, these guys aren't as useful and we got better guys now?
Yeah, that was kind of my opinion, is that I just stopped putting relievers on there.
Yeah.
Like, in my personal opinion, I would rather personally make a list, a top 30 list that has starters and position players on it. And then I'll make a separate list for relievers. And I know that's not the way everybody else does it, but I don't care. That's the way I want to do it. Because, like, I'm not going to, like, we all know that relievers are super volatile.
Yep.
So
for sure.
And Peyton Paulette had a great year in relief this year. He was wonderful. Zach Franklin, awesome. Carson Jacobs is another guy. He's going to the AFL. He's had a really nice year. Just kind of burst upon the scene last year in Kannapolis, probably 2.5 months into the season, I think. And, everybody was like, oh, where'd this guy come from at the end of the year? And I'm like, yeah, This guy's been awesome. I've posted a couple of videos, but, people don't pay attention because they're an A-ball. But, dude's 6'9" and throwing nasty sinkers and stuff, and just is good. There are a bunch of relievers that could be guys.
Yeah.
I just don't want to throw them on the top 30. It's just my personal preference. And I know that, a couple of the other, I know James is a little reluctant to throw relievers on there as well. Although if he feels that they're really close to the major leagues, he'll throw them in,
Got it.
as well. There was 3 guys that had Paulette on their lists.
Okay.
I was not one of them. So
yeah, I just happened to kind of notice that. I noticed that, and in a way, I like it because it tracks more to the total overall expected value of the player, basically. And you mentioned the volatility too, Ian, is because every team is signing failed starters every offseason, trying to make a reliever that they can throw 60 innings and then they can discard at the end of the year. Like there is a level of that. So I appreciate that very much.
That was exactly my thought.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts on Hagen Smith, George Wilco, Sam Antonacci, and the rest of the FutureSox midseason 30 list. Remember, we ain't trying to be running the show. We're just trying to understand. Anything you want to plug before you go?
FutureSox, obviously. It's my big project at the moment. Thankfully, the minor league season has come to an end, so those highlights will be not happening.
You get a break. You get a little break.
Oh man,
God bless.
Tell you, 140 plus games is just berserk, and there's 4 teams, so it's I'm doing 800 games a year. So
it's unbelievable work. People don't realize that. And not to mention, any minor leaguer that you want to find on the White Sox, you will find them. FutureSox Twitter. There'll be videos out there cut, and you can go grab them, take a look at them, and analyze them. So. But Ian, as always, man, thanks for coming through. It's good talking. It was good seeing you this 2 Sundays ago when we were doing the interviews there. It was good to hang out, have some pizza together. So
yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. That was a really cool event. And I'm hoping that they do. I heard Josh mention it on his on Sox Machine about possibly hoping that they brought it to Sox Fest or something like that.
Fingers crossed that they do, because we're hoping that as well, because that'd be a great atmosphere to do that. For sure.
Yeah, it's everybody gets along. We like seeing each other. So I don't see why we don't do it. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully that whole thing works out, and hopefully the whole podcast crew meetup thing happens where we can all just go there and start giving each other this is what you're doing wrong. I'm going to tell you this. Do this instead.
Yeah. I'm the ringleader. I'll get that going. That's a dream of mine to get that going. Ian, take care, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Ian Eskridge, my guy, Ian Eskridge. Next week's guest, I'll be honest, I haven't fully booked. I've reached out to someone that I want to have on next week. I have a few ideas, but since we're going to ramp this back up, we will have an Anjou next week. Even if I don't get the guest I'm working on right this second, someone will be here sitting with me. Thanks to Punky's Pizza and Pasta and all the One Away families up in the YouTube comments. Appreciate you smashing the like button, comments, and of course, drinks and tips. Thanks for watching. See you on Thursday for One Way Podcast. We'll talk about all those coaching changes and all kinds of other shit at the end of the season. Bye-bye, and I love all of you.